Hey guys, it's Courtney and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very special guest sharing her very first video as promised. My mom will be creating a card today using some penny black products, so I'm going to let her take over and explain to you how she created her card.
Hi everybody. I started with a penny black stamp set, the efflorescence, thank you Desiree, and I originally inked it up with the Versamark ink and realized that was a mistake. I was going to do Copic coloring, but I should not have used that one. So I wiped off my stamp and I started all over again, and I got the Blackout ink by Ink on 3, and I stamped that with my stamp positioner.
And what kind of paper did you use, Mom?
Nina Solar White. I had to do it twice because it was a kind of a big image. Maybe 3 times.
No, I think you did it twice. So next she's going to be doing some Copic coloring. So what colors did you use, Mom?
Okay, first of all, I used the BG10, my lightest color, and I went over it with my so-called Scary Dark, BG18.
See how she's learning?
I'm learning. It's hard shoes to fill. Then my second midtone, is that what you call it?
The darkest midtone.
The darkest midtone was the BG13. And then my lightest
midtone.
Okay, that was a BG11. And then I finished it with the BG10. I'm certainly not a colorist.
But keep in mind, guys, she just started card making. And in fact, she just started getting Copics. What, 2 or 3 months ago, maybe?
Yeah, I got a Desiree, remember?
Yeah, so Desiree from Include a Thank You, which I'm sure you guys know, was very, very generous and helped my mom build up some of her stash, being she was basically starting with nothing. So between Desiree and myself, my mom has built up quite the craft room in a very short period of time. But she is, like I tell you guys, it takes a whole lot of practice for the coloring. As long as you're having fun with it, you'll get better at it.
Sometimes I don't have fun with it. It ends up in the garbage.
And that's exactly what we don't want to do. But at the same time, it is just paper. So if you ever want to get some Copic coloring practice in, stamp a couple of images, go pop on a movie, and just practice. And if it doesn't turn out, it's just paper. And if it does, great, turn it into a card.
It goes in the garbage and you start all over again, which I have done.
So it looks like you went ahead and used that same combination for all 3 of your flowers?
Yes. Yes, I did.
And where did you put your shadows?
Well, on the bottom in the center of the flower, and I brought it out. And I tried to do some of it where the petals overlap, but I'm not too successful at doing that. As she said, practice, practice, practice.
Yes, she's definitely using her Scary Dark, though. The BG18 is the Scary Dark, and you would be surprised how different it would look if she skipped that Scary Dark. It would still look beautiful, and she'd still get the contrast, but she wouldn't get the amount of depth that she actually did get with these flowers by leaving off that BG18. So putting in that really Scary Dark does definitely make a difference.
The first one I did not have the Scary Dark, and they were basically the same color. A little tiny bit different, but basically they all look the same.
Yeah.
So
it's
with
very
Courtney's help, get that Scary Dark in there.
Yeah, it's scary, and that's why it's called the Scary Dark, but I promise you, it's not going to ruin your card. So what colors did you use for the centers of your flower?
The centers, I used a YR16 and a Y35, just to go around the outside a little bit with the dark and the little bit of yellow in the center.
Okay, so you'll notice that she used a YR marker as well as a Y marker, which are 2 different color families. But that last number, so the 35 and the 16, that 5 and the 6, are only 1 off. So that means they're going to blend well together. So you can go outside the color family as long as those last 2 numbers on your Copic markers are either the same or maybe 1 off. You shouldn't have a problem blending those.
Then I used the G05, no shadowing or shading on this, and just went down the stems of the flowers. Then I put it back in my stamp positioner, and I used my static tool and a lot. And then I used my Versamark, and I used the Ranger Silver embossing powder, and I sprinkled that on heavily, as you can see. And then I got my heat tool out that has been heating up for about 15, maybe 25 seconds. And I heated up that. Then putting my stuff back because I know I would knock it over and spill it all over my mat.
I think I've done that.
I cut my panel down just a little bit, and then I took a piece of pattern paper from Lawn Fawn, and I cut that down to an A2 size card.
I believe this is the Perfectly Plaid, I believe it was called, pattern paper by Lawn Fawn. I don't even know if they even make it. It was just part of my stash, but it closely matches the coloring.
So then I took the stamp from Penny Black Radiant, the thank you sentiment, and I stamped that with the Blackout ink on 3. Got a little smudge there, so I had to clean that up.
And she's using a sand eraser.
A sand eraser, yes.
All right, and then off camera here, it looks like you're cutting it down into a sentiment strip.
Yes. And I'm using part of the pattern paper that was left off to cut another strip just a little bit bigger than the thanks.
Okay, so you're just creating a little bit of a border.
A little bit of a border, and it matched the color of the flowers.
Okay. And then how did you finish off your card?
Well, first of all, I glued the thanks onto the little piece of the pattern paper. And after I got that trimmed up perfect, I glued that on. And I got, first I glued my panel onto my paper. I use my Tabomono multi-glue to put it on my pattern paper because it gives me a couple of seconds to move it around if it's not straight. Then I glued my sentiment on the paper, the pattern paper that matched the border. And I put the foam tape on the back of that just to pop it up a little bit. And I put that on and completed.
So thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching my very special guest today. As always, I will leave her supplies listed in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for stopping by today, and have a great day.
Thank you.